and welcome back to the Mental Health Hour on Love Bay, Afrobeat Music, and Talk Radio. I'm your host, Felicia Fishoff, registered psychotherapist, and tonight we are stepping into another powerful segment of the Insight Hour. Tonight we're having a conversation about what it means to be seen, not partially, not through assumptions, and not through one label, but as a whole person. Our topic tonight is more than one story: disability, identity, and the courage to be fully seen. What happens when the world sees one part of who you are and assumes it tells your entire story? For people living with disabilities, there can sometimes be a tendency for others to focus so heavily on the disability that everything else becomes secondary: personality, culture, relationships, ambition, creativity, career, masculinity, identity, humor, joy, and all of the other experiences that make someone who they are. And there can be a mental health impact that comes with constantly being misunderstood, underestimated, spoken for, or reduced to what other people perceive as a limitation. Tonight, we're talking about what happens when we move beyond those assumptions. Joining me tonight is Ben Akuako, MSW. He has an MSW. He's a public speaker. He's a thought leader. He's a digital creator. He's an accessibility consultant, social worker, and creator of the Black Blind Men's Group. Ben is a Black man of Ghanaian descent who lives with a visual disability caused by the progressive eye condition retinitis pigmentosa. Drawing from his lived experience, Ben uses his voice and his work to create conversations around disability, representation, accessibility, identity, and community. Through the Black Blind Men's Group, he has also created a space for Black men who are blind or partially sighted to connect around experiences that are not only shaped by disability, but also by race, culture, masculinity, community, and identity. Ben is also continuing to grow his business, Brightside Scope, while using creativity, education, and storytelling to challenge the way disability is represented and understood. Tonight, Ben and I are going to explore the mental health impact of being misunderstood or underestimated, what authentic representation actually looks like, the importance of community, and what it means to reclaim the right to define yourself beyond the labels other people place on you. Because none of us are just one thing. We are all made up of many stories, many identities, many experiences, and many parts of ourselves. And sometimes having the courage to say, there is more to me than what you first see, can be powerful in and of itself. Before we continue, just a gentle reminder that this show is for educational and informational purposes only, and it is not a substitute for professional mental health care. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional for support. And tonight, I want to invite our entire community into this conversation. Whether you live with a disability, love someone who does, work within healthcare, education, social services, media, or simply want to become more thoughtful about how we understand one another, this conversation is for you. So, you know what I'm going to say, Love Bay? The chat is open. We want to hear from you. Have you ever felt reduced to one part of your identity? Have you ever had someone make an assumption about what you could or could not do before they even got to know you? And when you think about disability, what stories or assumptions have you been taught? Stay with us. We're just getting started. Ben!
Hey,
Yes!
um,
Welcome to the Mental Health Hour.
thank you for having me, and thank you for such a powerful introduction.
Of course.
That was incredible. That was amazing.
Oh my goodness. Love Bay, let me tell you that Ben is like one of the sweetest people you will ever meet. Like he is just He's sweet like candy, I tell you, Love Bay. Okay? He is so kind. And Ben, why don't you tell everybody about what's going to be coming up with Love Bay? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is my cue to go. I have to start practicing for sure. So
Yes.
I will have my own show, Voices
Woo!
of Millennials. Yeah, I love round of applause for that. Appreciate it. And it's going to be really exciting because I get to explore the great work that a lot of these millennials, us as millennials, that we're doing in the community and even just in the outer scope of this world. So
Mm,
this is everybody in the world who is a millennial and doing big things. I
yes.
get to highlight them because something
Mm,
that I find that I do, I like highlighting people. I like people feeling good and looking good and
yes.
others.
Oh my goodness. So I cannot wait. I know it's going to be so powerful. I mean, come on, Love Bay. So make sure, Love Bay family, you show Ben your support. When is your first show, Ben?
It's gonna be up in September. What we're looking,
Yes.
if everything works out well, September will be the launch.
Oh my goodness. So please stay tuned, Love Bay family. In September, Ben will be on with Voices of the Millennials, and it's going to be lit. So make sure you tune in. Ben, so tonight our topic is more than one story: disability, identity, and the courage to be fully seen. And usually I start off the show by asking, why does the Love Bay family need to be talking about this topic tonight?
Yeah, very good question because it is important to highlight mental health and
Mm,
the different aspects of mental health because sometimes what we do is we like to silo mental health where it's like this is a general issue, which it is, but it's so
mm,
specifically go into it because everybody has a different experience. And even for today, me and you, Felicia, we're going to be talking
yes,
about disability and then incorporating disability with culture and race and those different aspects and gender, right? So
yes.
that it's so important that everybody feels highlighted and everybody, just like you said, they feel seen when they're talking about this issue. Because if you just make it generally mental health and that's it, that sometimes people feel ignored.
Mm,
Sometimes people feel that their stories are not being told and it's just one story that's being told.
mm. And it's so needed for our stories to be told,
Mhm.
right?
Mm,
It's so important for us to have voice. I know that even in my own work with my clients, you know, there's a sense of voicelessness, and that can have such a tremendous impact on the way that they see themselves and in the way that they engage with other people. Uh, In fact, sometimes they don't even try to engage with other people because they hold themselves back because they feel like, I mean, who's going to listen anyway? What's the point? Right?
mhm. And it's so easy to get caught up in that. Like in
Mm-hmm.
into this, like even as a black man, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely easy to get caught up in like who's even listening. And you would know this, Felicia, when it does come to our field, we're so used to being that person that is the helper and the one who's the listener and the one that everybody goes to. So when is it our time in the sun? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I love that. When is it our time in the sun? You know, the other day when we had our Love Bay event and I heard you share your story, I was like, it just completely like melted my heart. It was so powerful. And I don't know, not to put you on the spot, but whatever you feel comfortable sharing tonight, yeah, why don't you just start from there so that the Love Bay family can get to know you a bit? And yeah, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Absolutely. I'm a open book, that's for sure. And even within my introduction, I made mention that I do live with a visual disability, something that is referred to as retinitis pigmentosa. And
Mhm,
I was diagnosed this at 2 years old.
mhm,
So even with that said, it's such a tricky eye condition because when you have it younger,
mhm,
will not notice. You can't just look at someone and maybe if you look at their eyes or something like that, or you just interact with them more, people will not notice that you live with vision loss. So
mhm,
there was a time where I was quote unquote, I felt like normal. Like I was playing basketball, I was playing football, I was just walking around without a cane, and I did not identify with being a person who had a visual disability. And
mm,
even with that said, having that layer of being a black man, where
mm,
as we know, us as black men, we're highly independent, we're highly resilient.
mhm,
It's that masculinity there. So I remember with most of my life, I would not admit that I had a disability
mhm,
because it was so full pop. Like I said, being a black man, I had my parents from Ghana. When it came to disability, it would be mostly associated as a negative or
mm,
a curse or something that bad has happened to you. So with that, it was always navigating as here's me where I have a disability and then I'm a black man as well. So I had so many instances and so many times where, I did not feel that I fit in at all. Like
mm,
I really felt like I was the, no pun intended, the black sheep where I go into spaces and here's all my boys and all my friends playing ball. And I'd be
mm.
the one who couldn't catch the ball, it hits me in the face, and people are like, "Oh, this guy's this guy's mad clumsy, right?"
Yeah.
And even with that said, that almost I got caught up in that being my black identity was like, yo, all my heroes are ball players, football players. I can't even.
Mm,
There's a lot of losing identity, and with that said, and I'll probably go more into this for sure, but I leave a little bit of a tidbit where I want to say I was lucky enough to go into the helping field of social work.
yes.
Yeah, represent. And even with that said, I feel that that really helped me adjust to living with a disability, being
Mm,
a black man, and that really helped me find my niche to want to help others who are similar
mm.
to myself. So I had that journey of doing social work. So no, it's gonna be throughout this chat. I know it's gonna be different stages of my life that I highlight for sure as we keep going.
Yes, absolutely. So powerful. Your story is so powerful, and it's just riddled with so much lessons, especially as it relates to how we see ourselves and, our mental health and how that impacts us. As you were sharing about, you know, not wanting to associate yourself with having a disability, what do you think was the thing that prevented you from that? Like, was it a sense of shame? Like, I know that you talked about the identity piece as well. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you hit the nail on the head. Is a sense
Mm,
of shame, and
mm,
coming from a culture, African culture, a lot of uh, growing up and being raised,
mm,
it's very upfront, and I wouldn't say like blunt, but it's very honest in a way. I think I'm sugarcoating it, where it's sometimes a lack of understanding, right? So
mhm,
it would be even for example, like when we look at disability, there's not really a word for disability. So
mm,
I have like people refer to me as slow or
mm,
not normal or not like everybody else. So
Mhm.
with that growing up, that definitely caused embarrassment, right?
Of
Where
course, yeah.
yeah, where oh my gosh, here's like parents and they're probably so embarrassed of me that here I am like not like the others, right? I can't drive. I can't navigate like other people. So I would say, yeah, it was like shame, it was embarrassment, it was where do I get in to fit in, right?
Mm.
Even with that said, and I still look back at it and something I thought before doing this conversation is when we look at like mental health and we look at depression,
Mhm.
I never thought I was ever depressed, but I don't think I knew what that felt like, right? I don't think I
Mhm.
thought that these are like the symptoms and signs of depression, right? So
Mhm.
almost look back, especially as a teenager, like it was forms of depression. It was forms of like, can I move on? Like sadness, and then even as we know, the grieving stage, like when you're constantly losing something slowly or you're being told that you're gonna lose something, you are grieving in a way where I never knew how to truly identify that. Like to me, losing vision is like I'm losing vision. I'm sad about it, but I don't know if there's anybody I could say it to, like if it's my family, because our culture is so rooted in Christianity, it's
Mhm.
God will take care of you, right? Which
Mhm.
I feel is fine. I do believe in God. I'm a Christian, but then at the same time, it's almost like that's all you hear. It's no other solution. There's no belief in therapy. There's no belief in what
Mhm.
my boy and like crying about my vision. Like I would be mocked and made fun of, right?
Yeah.
So these are all the aspects that like I look back at it and that mindset of who do you turn to? And this is why I got into the field because with the young black men or even young men and someone who lives with a disability as well, there's at one point there was not many people to turn to or knowing who to turn to. So that's why I feel like it's so pivotal that I got into social work and I do what I do with the Bright Side Scope and my other initiatives.
Mm. I'm so glad that you mentioned grief because I think when we typically think about grief, we our mind automatically goes to death, right? But we grieve in different instances, right? And the fact that you're talking about this grief that you had as you were losing something, right? Something that's progressive, right? There is loss that is associated with that, and I think sometimes we don't make enough room for other people to mourn that loss and give them that support, right? And another thing that was kind of coming at the back of my mind is, you know sometimes, at least you could tell me if I'm wrong, Ben, but like, sometimes people offer support that's not needed, and then other times they don't offer the
Mhm.
support that is actually needed, right?
Mhm.
So how do people actually navigate that piece as well, the support?
Yeah, and is that in terms of the disability or just in general?
Yeah, I think even just in general, but also with disability as well, right?
Yeah, so even kind of going to that sector of disability is it's almost a tricky sector to go into because when we're looking at disability now, it's about empowerment. And you see that within the Bright Side Scope, and you see that within a lot of coalitions that
Mm-hmm.
are happening now. It's like empowerment, it's proud of your disability, it's proud to be you. But then the other side of it is what we even said with like grief, right? Grief. It's it's still there. Like it's when I look at my vision loss, especially growing up, right? Like
Mhm.
there would be moments where trust, there was no no sense of no sense of empowerment. It was loneliness. It was
Yeah.
feeling understood. So even with that said, I feel like it's that balancing act where
Mhm.
I feel that you still have to like celebrate the empowerment of you and who you are as a person, but you
Mhm.
have to address that living as a person with a disability, a person who has low vision, it's not easy, right? It's not
Mhm.
rainbows and lollipops, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like I said, in the other sense, at the same time, balance that where it's not completely doom and gloom. So it's so important that you're able to navigate, okay, everything's going wrong. My site's not doing good today. I'm making so much mistakes. There's people who are trying to help, but I don't need the help, or I do need the help, or I did something clumsy, or I hit something by accident. You have to give yourself those days where it's not fun. It's hard. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
you just be in that moment. But then at the same time, like my philosophy, and this comes with years of like self reflection. This comes with years of journaling. This comes with years of getting professional help as well.
Mhm.
With years of finding ways to cope. But then at the same time, with all those resources, you have to find a way to keep moving forward and not get stuck in I live with a disability. It's over because once you get stuck in those spaces, right? I don't think you could climb out once you get deep, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy that you talked about that feeling of stuckness, right? Because, you know, before we were talking about the labels, right? You were sharing about the labels that were thrown at you or the insults that were thrown at you. And we all know kids can be cruel, man. Really. Like they could be really cruel. And then there's others that they just they're operating out of a sense of lack of understanding and they can be cruel as well. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, right? So how do you not get stuck? Like when you think about even just your story, how did you not get stuck with the labels? Because I hear you that you now have like coping mechanisms. You did journaling, you did all of the good stuff, the therapy. But how did you get there?
I'm gonna do a shout out. Like right at this moment, I gotta do a shout out to my tribe and my community that I built.
Hey, come on, tribe. Pick
Uh,
up yourself.
yeah, exactly. My people. So I gotta shout out a lot of people, especially with the Black men's group and even other individuals with low vision or even with a disability in general, right?
Mhm.
When you seek out people who I would say truly understand everything that you go through, but similar aspects that you go through, it is the most liberating
Mhm.
that you can get when in the Black men's group, you have people your age who have blindness, total blindness, or even partial blindness, or grew up the way you grew up, and they still have that essence of you as a person, you as a Black man, right? You with your interests, you know what I mean? Like I'm a hip hop
Mhm.
guy. I love my hip hop. I
Hey.
yeah, I love hip hop. I grew up on DMX. I grew up on Nas. I grew up Snoop Dogg, like Lupe, and I feel that when I still have my essence within a support group and people who have those same interests and then are living with the challenges of sight loss, it just feels so natural. It feels like you're not alone.
Mhm.
What I have heard in this men's group And what I've heard within the tribe that I built over the years is the fact that a lot of people said I felt alone,
Yeah.
feel alone. I felt like I was the only one who walked in. I felt like no one understood me. I felt like even when we look at disability, you almost feel like you're the burden or you're the one who doesn't put in work because you have a disability, right? So
Mm,
the beautiful, most liberating feeling is when someone else says, I don't feel alone anymore. And that is something where that is putting me to the moon. That makes me feel that I'm not scared of sight loss anymore. You know what I mean? Because I know
mhm,
my brother beside me who's going through the same thing and is doing amazing things. I know it's my sister who's beside me who has sight loss, a black sister, and she's
mhm,
doing amazing things, right? And it's just like it just keeps you going, it keeps your engine moving. And there's times where I might have a bad day and I'm walking with my cane and sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, with this cane, it's this big target, and it's this big look at me with this cane, right? Look at me, I'm disabled. Like, look at me. For some people, I am less than. But then when I'm walking with that cane and I'm having a bad day, I think of my brethren, you know what I mean? I think of my
mm,
in the group who are just doing amazing things and who believe in me as well. And that's like, I'm not alone. I'm
mm,
not alone in doing this. I'm not the only one who's going through this. So that's what now I feel like really keeps me going. And then even the support I have from my family. And I know some people can't lean on their family. So at the end of the day, I would say build a tribe. Build a
mm,
tribe of people you trust because you won't feel alone when you have that tribe.
I think that's powerful. Often it's so easy for us to want to isolate ourselves when we feel misunderstood, right? But I love that you're saying find your tribe. If you don't have those that understand you, right? Go seek them out, create the spaces, right? And it creates a shift, right? Where you can lean on each other and encourage each other.
And it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine to build that tribe that people who relate to you, right?
Mhm,
And there's times out there where we're kind of thought that, oh, like, why do you have to go specifically into black men? Why do you have to go to a black men's group? Why does it have to be black? But to be honest, I feel like the closer they relate, the more you feel heard and you feel seen. And who's to say that you can't step out of that and build another tribe with others, right? I feel
mhm,
it's a good foundation to know that like you are heard and you're seen and your all your identities are seen. So I call it's that familiarity, right? Where for us as Afro Caribbeans, when we walk into a house, for me, if I walk in a house, they're cooking jollof rice, I got that smell of jollof rice.
Woo! Mm.
Instantly, I instantly feel like I'm home. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what, like it's you walk through the door, you're home, and I bet even with yourself, with the food your family made, or the music your family played, or just
Mhm.
the decorations or whatever, and you see it and you're like, I don't know, just that inner child of
Instant.
me feels like I'm at home, you know?
Instant. Now I'm gonna get myself in trouble, Ben, because I always like to get myself in trouble at least once. So even if it's Nigerian jollof rice, you will feel at home.
She went there. She went there. Don't,
Hey,
I think
I still don't know.
we gotta talk offline about this.
All right, because I don't know what is the
Mm,
competition between the two. But I heard there is some spicy competition between my Ghanaian brothers and my Nigerian brothers and sisters with the jollof rice.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
okay, we talk later. You tell me the difference later, okay?
to scrap this episode after I said this, but I got my actually one of my veterans on our men's group is Nigerian.
Uh-huh.
Silas, he has an incredible story. Definitely follow him. And yesterday I was with him, and then see, this is the beauty of, like I said, having those identities and that familiarity. But the first thing I came to greet him, he's totally black, came to greet him, and I'm like, yo, remember, our race is better, right? Our race is better. And having that understanding is just, you know what I mean? That's me in a nutshell, starting stuff, and to be comfortable in doing that. So I feel like that's the beauty of that's my people, you know what I mean? My people, and we still share that sight loss, and we still share that rapport, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I really want to ask Ben, because I know that you were talking about like your identity as a black man and how that was, impacted in terms of how you saw yourself as a teen growing up.
Mm,
You know, what have you learned about that identity now as being a black man with vision loss?
absolutely. I feel that, especially being in the field, I feel that with us black men,
Hmm.
we see all this over masculinity. We see these aspects of not opening up and a lack of vulnerability.
Hmm.
I truly feel with a lot of even these young cats, these young black men that I meet and I come across, even in the community, where maybe I'm walking around and I'm like, okay, I don't know what this door is, and even they point me out or they help me out, and even just meeting some of people I have worked with. I don't think over the years us as black men had the opportunity or had the open door of being vulnerable,
Mm.
being able to shed our masculinity. And I think this is a cross that we had to bear growing up, especially me growing up in the 90s, 2000s. And
Mm.
I believe that it has been so much like pain that we were almost so numb to because we were so used to this masculinity over masculinity. And we were just so used to seeing this is what you have to be as a black man. You can't cry as a black man. Like
Mm.
you have to stay a G, you know what I mean? You have to be a leader, you know what I mean? Like, yo, who has time for any of this? You know what I mean? Even interactions between us as black men too. Never do we have the opportunity to say, yo, dog, you okay? You good? And that's all kind of comes out, you good. Never, okay, you don't seem good. Are you okay? Is everything at home okay? Like, how's your mental health? And I feel that at this cost that we had to carry so long, where we had to hold it all in
Mm.
until something happens, where it comes out in anger or it comes out in detrimental ways. So where we're going in like now, I really appreciate it because there's way more black social workers, right? There's
Mhm.
black men as social workers. Um, we have all sectors. Look, I specifically go with disability and black men, culture, and aspects. So we're starting to have more of that conversation of redefining what it means to be a man and specifically a black man, right? And then
Mhm.
supporting us as or supporting each other. And I feel like one of the most important things is vulnerability. And even for me, it has taken me a long time to be vulnerable. Like even though I've been in the field, I'm
Mhm.
so up because the one I was watching a TikTok video,
Mhm.
and the one thing that a point that someone brought up that I was like, oh, wow, a really good point is with a black man, as soon as you make fun of their vulnerability, when they show it, you lose
Yeah.
you you lose that trust, right? Because it takes so much. It takes so much to dig deep. It
Hmm.
takes so much to put those guard down. It takes so much to forget what your male role model said in the past, whether it's your dad, your uncle, like your someone on TV, where it's like stop being soft, stop being a explicit word, you know what I mean? Stop being
Hmm.
this and that. And it takes so much to take that away and say, oh my gosh, I'm sad, or I was crying, or
Hmm.
the hug, you know what I mean? It takes so much. And as soon as someone's just like, oh, you're this, and it just brings you right back to where you were in the past. And the, you know, and in the pretty much scrutiny that you had in the past. So it's so important that we embrace Black men vulnerability.
Yeah.
We create tribes, we create supports, we create opportunities where Black men can sit down and be vulnerable with each other, and it to be okay and not seen as a certain way, right? So I'm
Hmm.
a big proprietor of that, and that's why I really love this group, right? And that's why definitely I'm a big proprietor of even studying any group, if it's the disabilities or non-disability, just knowing that, you know what I mean, you can be vulnerable, knowing that you could take off this vow or veil of like bounds and this hurt and just be like, okay, I feel free. I feel that I can say what I want to say, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. And I love that you talk about that freedom that comes with that journey, right? I think that, as a society, we've been conditioned to see emotion as weakness, but really it's not, it's a strength, right? And you're right, there's a freedom that comes with being vulnerable, but it is scary as heck.
Yeah. And you know what I find? Like I love being physically active, right?
Mhm.
I marathon, I love running, I love different challenges, fitness challenges.
Mhm.
And why is it that when you're doing something physically active, you take a water break and you could go drink water and come back to what you were doing high intensity, where emotionally high intensity being emotion with emotions and feelings. Why is it that take a break? I don't know. Be vulnerable,
Mhm.
not sad, and then come back.
Mhm.
Let that happen with physical activity. We let that happen with work where people go on vacation. We let that happen with all these different aspects. But why can't we do that with emotion and feelings, especially when it comes to Black?
Mhm. 100%. And I think that it comes from somewhere historically, right? Where we're not allowed to show that emotion. We're te- machines, really. It takes away that part of humanity away from us. But we're, again, we are human, right? So we do feel, and it's okay to show those feelings in safety, of course, in those safe spaces.
And even with that said, I think that's another issue of like as Black folk, and I'm gonna go specifically Black men. I know it happens with racialized folk is seen as a monolith, right? One dimensional.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
there is uh, this guy, he dances, he raps, he does physical activity, and that's it. Like, but us as Black folk, we're more than that. We have our different identities. We have a culture, but we stem out of that, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's dismantling the way we act and finally giving us, or not even giving us, having the opportunity to have your different identity and not feel shame
Yeah.
about in those identities. So here's me as a black man of Ghana culture. So proud of my Ghana culture, by the way.
Hey, Ghana, big up yourself.
Black stud, baby, black stud. So I have my Ghana culture, but here's me
Mhm,
as I love being a creative. Here's me as I love making people laugh. Here's me as I love being physically active. Here's me and I don't know. I say it out loud. I would like to really confess. Here's me as a wrestling fan. Here's me
mhm,
as uh loving baseball, and it's just so much of me. Here's me as I could be a softies. Like I like listening. I like making sure that my people are good.
mhm,
Me as a leader. Here's me as the coordinator. So what we have to stop doing, and I see this in disability as well, stop making us monolith and stop seeing us as a monolith.
mhm,
I'm gonna veer to disability on top of the blackness is when people see me gallivanting with my cane and just going through the community,
mhm,
it's hard because, well, it's not hard per se, but the mentality of here's him as just a blind man,
mhm,
and it's like they cease to see, oh, like even think about education, like my master's. They cease to say, does he date? Like they cease to say, is he a homeowner? They seem to say, like, what kind of relationships does he cultivate? Like, what is his interest? And I think, like I said, with us black men and black folk, even with disabilities, it's like so one dimensional. He's blind, right? And I'm
mhm,
like, what are blind things, first of all? And then even that whole identity, he's a black blind man. He must know Stevie Wonder. Like, it's
oh my goodness.
yeah, just so much more to that individual. And I think it's important for us to show ourselves and when we're in the community. And
Mm,
it's so important to do things like this and talk about mental health as well and talk about the struggles and not it only being empowerment and disability and race empowerment, right?
mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So powerful. You are listening to the Mental Health Hour on Love Bay Afrobeat Music and Talk Radio. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to download the Love Bay Radio app on Apple and Google Play. Visit lovebayradio.live, that's LUVBAY radio.live, to support the station. Your donations help us continue serving you and our community. You can reach us at 437-778-3299. We are here serving you 24/7. And remember, the chat is open, so we want to hear from you. Tonight, we're talking about disability, identity, representation, and what it means to be fully seen. So, I want to ask you, have you ever felt like people saw one part of you and assumed they knew the rest of your story? And when it comes to disability, what assumptions do you think society still needs to unlearn? Drop your thoughts in the chat. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Amazing, Ben. I mean, man, you're here dropping all the gems tonight, all the gems. As I think back to when you shared your story at the event, you talked about what it was like for you to go from being a teen and feeling stuck
Mhm.
in, okay, I'm blind. Do I even have a future? And now you're talking about the big things that you are just doing. Can you share a little bit about what that journey looks like?
It is definitely, I say, a roller coaster journey. It's up, down, round and round, and
Mm-hmm.
it's never a place where it's bad, like all bad or all good. Something that I just gotta say is it definitely the belief in God for sure is is a huge thing that I attribute to how I got through this journey.
Mm,
Where definitely, I know I started off the conversation where like easily my family would be like, just turn to God and God did every where I feel like with that said, yes, turn to God, but use those external resources and
mhm,
know that that shouldn't just be a response, you know what I mean? But even with that said, just the fact that it was a lot of dark times in my life, and I can't sugarcoat that. Um, there was times where like it would be contemplating even living, you know, especially getting
mm,
out of being a teenager, right, and not fully
mhm,
understanding what this is about, and hearing, oh my gosh, you're gonna go blind at this age, fully blind, and just no one really understanding and feeling like no one really cared.
mm,
It was some contemplations of not wanting to be here anymore, and it just being like, well, I grow up to, and I told that story when we were at the conference. I'm gonna grow up
mm,
with nothingness. I'm gonna grow up just living with my parents. I'm gonna grow up lonely. I won't have any friends. I won't be gainfully employed. Um, I will have no life. I'll just be at home. But
mm,
I found, like I said, with that grace of God and that faith, and then also with some great people who helped me along the way, I began to see these little wins. And
mm,
that's what we have to do, at least it worked with me, is these like little wins, and even just having that faith that I will get to where I gotta be, and knowing that you're not alone. Us
mhm,
I remember even us like when I was younger, I wanted to do counseling, right? Like I heard, okay,
mm,
I want to be counseled. And I remember like I was told, no, that means you're crazy. Don't do it, right?
mm,
And I believe the important thing is to know what's best for you. You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
people don't live your life, right? People just see what's on the outside, the external, right? And then what they feel they want to put that onto you. So it's so important to know what's the best for you.
Yes.
Important to know, like, discover those supports, try them out. Maybe counseling won't work. As long as you tried it, journaling, maybe that won't work. Maybe physical fitness won't work, right? But just try it and see if it works for you. So
Mm,
those like little steps and celebrating those big wins, right? And
yes.
celebrating those goals, you know?
Mhm,
I remember it's something that is so interesting. Like, and I say this to people, and it may seem like really small, but this is how I go by when I look at life and when life does get hard. So this is just a simple example. This is not like something that like in my whole entire life, but I'm a Toronto Raptors fan. I
Yay.
Hey, go Raps, go! Woo!
No raps yet.
Yeah, yeah. So Toronto Raptors fan since 1996. Damon
Mhm,
Stoudemire, um, who else you got? Doug Christie, all those guys, right?
mhm,
Oliver Miller, they love those guys. So even as a Raptor fan, there was times before. Look, it started in what 1996. We won a championship in 2019.
that
So
was wild, by the way, but yes.
that was so fun. Oh, I loved it. So as a Raptor fan, between that point, the
Mhm,
disappointment, the almost close. Yeah, we almost did it. Oh, disappointment. So I look at this, and I don't know if this is a way, but it works for me. Where I tell myself, can you imagine, let's just say it's 2003, 2004, and
mm,
that I don't even like, I just want to kind of give up on life, and it all ends from there, right?
mhm,
I would have missed out on the Raptors winning in 2019. And that's just a small example of like how amazing life. I would have missed out on the birth of my niece. I would have missed out on being on TV show. I would have missed out on getting my master's. I would have missed out on getting my bachelor's. I would have missed out on
Mm,
going to all these dope concerts. I would have missed out on going to all these dope events and meeting amazing people. And I look at that, just that small little example. I would have missed out on the Raptors winning the championship. Something that I always want to see if I just let it go.
mm,
So I constantly, this little thing. Every time I tell myself, if I'm ever having a bad day, like, if I wasn't here, look what I would have missed out. Like even when we're looking in the future, I would have missed out on AI. Like
mm,
if it all ends today, I might miss out on autonomous cars. I might miss out on, I don't know, a breakthrough when it comes to vision. I might miss out on seeing my little niece grow up and get married. Might miss out on a big acting opportunity, Mr. Grammys. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
e- even with this said, I always tell myself like, if it all ended today,
Mm,
things I could have missed out on.
mm, mm. That's so powerful, Ben. That's so powerful, right? It's so easy to get like stuck in what's happening today, right? And what I'm hearing from you is, you don't know what tomorrow brings. Today might be challenging and it may be difficult, but tomorrow's a new day, right? And you never know what's on the horizon.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, for those that are listening tonight and maybe they are feeling stuck in whatever circumstances or experience in life, and they feel like they can't see the future, right? There's people who are trying to dictate what their future will look like depending on today's circumstance, right? What would you say to them, especially as it relates to having that courage to fully realize their potential, fully and be fully seen for who they are?
Mm. Definitely get those supports. For sure.
Mm,
And like I said, with counseling, sometimes you just need to let it off your chest. Like I look at it as a balloon that's being
mm-hmm,
inflated, but sometimes you just need to deflate it a little bit, right? So you don't pop. So
mm-hmm,
getting what you feel off your chest, maybe my counseling not might not be for you. Maybe you're not ready for it. Having friends that you trust, uh, writing your thoughts down. Writing your thoughts down is so key because you get to look at your thoughts. Like even with myself, I try and do journaling every night. I sort
mm-hmm,
of failed at. I try, but I find that when it's times that I do journaling and I had a long day in my head, because it's just been such a long day. I've been so busy. I'm like, I didn't do anything today. I am really falling off the wagon. Gosh, I'm just like, yeah, what am I doing here? But when I journal, I look back at the stuff I did and the people I talked to, and I'm like, oh man, I did this. Oh yeah, I did this in the morning. Oh, I went for a 5K run. What? Like I gathered my whole week. I finished this assignment, and it really puts things into perspective, right? Uh,
mm-hmm,
what you're doing, because I gotta tell, like, say that everybody has something we could offer, and everybody has a beauty of what they offer in life. Like, as surprising as it is, I'm not good at everything. But and like uh, all of us, like people are gonna be like, "Yo, what a arrogant guy." But know what? Um, as we look at it, we're not all good at stuff, but we have these things that we're so good at and special at, right? And just know
mm-hmm,
look for your speciality, you know what I mean? Look for people who celebrate that specialness and that light in you and embrace it. Embrace that light. If you're a person who loves to cook, yo, cook up a storm, you know?
Mhm.
Be like, yo, I'm a prime cooker. If you're a person who likes to dance, throw some music and just dance. Like,
Mhm.
bring that inner child out. And I know us with in the helping field, we
Yes.
like to bring that inner child out. And I gotta say, when you do explore your inner child, like I remember my inner child wanted to act and be on a set, and
Yeah.
I do background work, and I was on a set. My inner child wanted to go to Japan. I went to Japan. My inner child and once you start kind of fulfilling like what that inner child wants, it starts,
Yes.
you know.
Mhm. Absolutely. You know, it's as we grow older, we lose a sense of that childlikeness, or at least we cover it, we mask it. But yes, there is still this inner child on the inside that has needs and wants to be seen, fully seen, right? And, allowing that inner child to fulfill those dreams that they still have is so, so very, so, so important.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. And, I feel like as we get older, we take less risks, right? So when you're young and free, you just, oh, I want to paint, I'm just going to paint,
Mhm.
you know? And then as we get older, we tend to hold ourselves back, right? And what would you say to those listening that finds that yes, they have these desires. They want to cook, they want to dance like nobody's watching, but they feel this fear of what other people will think about them, what other people will say, and they hold themselves back from living in that full potential. What would you say to them?
I would say the fact that even with society, I feel the ones who scrutinize you the most are people who know that they don't have the guts to do it, or
Say
they
that part again, Ben. You say that too fast. Go ahead.
they're the ones who scrutinize you the most are the people who don't have the guts to do it themselves,
Hmm.
or I fear it themselves, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a person who's like, you know what? I'm walking down the street. I just feel like dancing, doing your moves. The person who says to you, "Oh, you're embarrassing. Like, don't do that," is in their heads they can't do it themselves. They're afraid to do
Mhm.
it themselves because they would be embarrassed.
Absolutely.
And it's so important where deep down in that kind of projecting
Hmm.
of those people onto other people, deep down in that is I have so much respect for the person that they're overcoming their fear to do something. And I sort of wish I could do it too, right? So I believe what it is having that mentality to just be like, I want to do it. If I want to run barefoot in the grass, roll around in the grass, just do it. If it makes your heart wow, you know what I mean? Get
Hmm.
that fitness, you know what I mean? Dance, like go, enjoy, right? As long as you're not hurting anybody. It's important that we, like I said, bring that inner child, bring that inner self, bring that freedom.
Yes.
And go and subscribe. And this goes right back into blackness, where we came from most of us black folk, we come from immigrant parents from a different country,
Hmm.
like grandparents. And in their generation, survival was the thing, right? Their mentality, survival was the thing. And that's even something that they have to let go as well, where they kind of push that onto us, where survival is a mentality. You can't what are you what are you wasting your time going over here? You're supposed to get money to get a house and all this and all that. Like, why are you wasting your time, right?
Hmm.
And because it was about survival, that's because it was looking at or the anti-black racism, where they were seen in a different light. If
Mhm.
you're like, especially this with Afro Caribbeans, if you're not dressed well, you're instantly looked at
Mm.
middle class as a
Yeah.
person, right? So it's that focus on you have to be on your best behavior. You have to be doing everything right. So it's so important that us as individuals, Black folk, I mean,
Mm.
even living with disabilities, is we start to take care of ourselves within, and
Yeah.
that starts with being who we want to be, and then from there, kind of like this is the ultimate cheat code I find in life is if you have yourself as a house, you have to work inside the house for
Mhm.
everybody to see the house as beautiful and nice. Like when you work inside and work from the inside to the outside, people will come and compliment the house instead of being like, I have to work on the outside for everybody to see, right?
Mhm.
It's gonna break down inside. And then you're once again at square.
Wow. Wow, you even gave us the cheat code. I love that about doing the work within,
Mm,
right? Doing that work within the house. What are
mm.
some practical things that they can do or that we can do to begin the work within the house?
I'm gonna throw some stuff out there, positive affirmations,
Yes.
because I believe that we depend on others to tell us that we're doing well.
Mhm.
And we are in the sense that if others are telling us we're doing well, but we forget to tell ourselves that we're doing well. And for
Mm.
the others who are telling us that we're doing well, they don't see everything. They don't see the blueprint, right?
Yeah.
There's people who just see you for whatever amount of time and they have their thoughts, but they know the hard work behind everything you've done and do they know the sacrifices. So it's so important that we know like we have to celebrate our own selves because we know the journey that we have taken. So something that I said where I'm at the point where I'm starting, maybe it's my age, but I'm starting to not care what people think,
Yes.
especially people who the first time, right? And they ask these questions and whatever, or they have this thought about me, and I'm starting not to care because I think to myself, if I had
Mhm.
a biography coming out, and I needed someone to write my biography for me, am I gonna hand the pen to someone who's met me for 10 seconds and let them trust them with my biography, right?
Mhm.
Compared to someone who knows me the best, which is myself and other people
Yes.
around me, right?
Yes.
Obviously, the people around me and myself, I'm gonna write this, wow, like I did this and tell my story and my struggles and the things I improved on and the things I still have to work on compared
Mhm.
to someone who just comes in and asks you a few questions, right? So
Mhm.
we have to remember the way we treat ourselves should apply where we know our full stories. We
Yeah.
know what we've been through. We know the trials and tribulations. We know the struggles, whether it's a death in as you for a death in our family or
Mhm.
diagnosed with a condition or a disability or
Mhm.
um, a divorce or a separation. We know what we've been through and what we have overcome, right? So
Yes.
celebrating yourself, celebrating yourself, having those positive affirmations, uh, reflecting, looking back at the past and building from there.
Mhm.
And then just looking at life differently, knowing that, yo, you could be who you want to be. And as I said, finding that tribe as well and finding the lights, what really fills your cup.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I usually tell my clients this. It There's always a cost to doing something versus doing nothing. Like there's risk on both sides. So if you do something, like if you take that risk, there's going to be a risk that's associated. There's going to be a cost associated with that. And
Mhm,
then if you choose not to do it because you're scared to take that risk, there's also going to be a cost associated with that, right?
mhm,
So pick one. And sometimes you just have to allow yourself to bank on yourself that, you know what, like you said before, just try it.
yeah.
You never know unless you try it, right? And I think that there's this hesitation because a lot of us, we're afraid of failure,
Mhm,
right? But what is failure? I think personally, failure sometimes is just not trying at all,
mhm.
right? And taking the risk. Because at least at the end of the day, you could say, huh, at least I tried. Right? And at least you know, and you can be proud of yourself for banking on yourself and doing the thing that you really wanted to do and allowing that inner child to experience that, right? Um, yeah,
I gotta say too, failure is temporary pain.
love
It's
that.
temporary pain, and a story I guess I gotta tell. So even for everybody, when I did my master's, I actually applied for my master's in two. I got my master's in 2022, but I applied for it in 2015,
Mm,
and I got I got denied. I got rejected. I didn't get accepted, right, in
mm,
2015. And even hindsight 20, like hindsight's 2020, right? Like
mm.
I didn't get it. It wasn't my time. That was failure. Like let me work from there, and I ended up getting accepted in 2020, right? So
Yes,
jobs that I didn't get, I tried again and I got them. And
yes.
it's temporary. Like you're not gonna remember that failure, especially when something else comes across the table. So
Mm,
I feel like with what it is you sit in that moment of failure, but then just knowing that it's something else gonna replace it. You don't know when it's gonna happen, but just knowing that something else is gonna replace that little sting of failure, you know?
yes, absolutely. And this thing is temporary, right? It's temporary. Ben, if you know, before I even ask that question, I wanted to bring our attention to the chat. So we have Diane Durson who's saying, agreed, color outside the lines. And I like that. Amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in, Diane. And then we also have a text. Um, Ben, what a powerful conversation. Kindly give me your information for your organization. And this is from Yanni and Sudbury. Yanni, big up yourself. Thank you, Yanni.
Anyway, yeah, but, for Yanni, it's brightside_scope on Instagram. And then when you find me, you'll find everything else. So brightside, one word, BRIGHTSIDE_scope, SCOPE, like the mouthwash. So we cleaning minds right now. So
Amazing. So you heard that. Yanni and Love Bay. It is Bright Scope, BRIGHTSCOPE.
actually brightside scope.
Bright Side Scope. You see?
Yeah.
What? Hey, Bright Side. BRIGHTSIDE_scope.
Mm,
SCOPE. Oh my goodness. So amazing. Like this has been such a powerful conversation. I agree with Yanni and I agree with Diane in the chat. Um, your story is powerful. How you've overcome so many challenges is powerful. If you could look back and speak to your inner child
mm,
and tell him one or two things about the journey, knowing what you know now, what would
mm.
you say to your inner child?
So it's funny because you heard that story that I had at the conference where you're sitting on the bench with your younger self and
Yes.
remember doom and gloom. Where am I gonna go from here? Like what's my future gonna look like? And just getting a time machine and just sitting beside your younger self. And
Mm.
yo, this journey it was rocky, but the things that you're gonna come across, the people that you're gonna meet, it is a once in a lifetime type deal.
Mm.
They will feel this way, but tomorrow may feel this way again a week later, but just know that that feeling is going to crunch it up and throw it away, right? Like,
Mm.
accomplish so much, and it's all about putting your mind to it. And another thing I gotta say is, at least what works for me is, maybe because the type of person I am, but
Mm.
to be able to give to other people and to be able to be successful. And I'm a person who wants to be successful. I want to live that good life, right? I want to be able to just get up and go and travel. I want to be able to afford things that I want to afford. But to be able to do that, and then at the same time be able to help your brethren, your people, and to be able to help someone who's been in a similar circumstance as you, is probably one of the most euphoric feelings ever. And I remember when I would do an interview for a social work job or anything in the helping field, and
Mm.
I make a statement where I'm like, I get paid to help people. That's not fair because I'm enjoying this. I'm not supposed to enjoy this so much. Like, you're paying me to help someone else, you know what I mean? And make people feel better. Like, what? Really? So what I would say, and I guess I'll break it down. That was sort of a long-winded answer, but what I'll break it down, two of the things is like, enjoy the journey because journey is fun. And just I'm gonna steal Diana's thing. Color outside the lines.
Mm.
Stop following as a black man, as a person with a disability, stop trying to be the mold of what people think you should be and just be you. Be you and like I said, with the inside of the house, once you be you and you be your authentic self, like honey, bees will come. The people that you want will come. Don't even think about having to be anybody else or put on a mask.
Mm. I love that. I love that, Ben. All right, final question as we bring this plane down for a landing. If you
Mhm.
could leave one last gem for the Love Bay family tonight, what would you say?
When life gives you lemons, we everything out of those lemons, and don't just make lemonade. Make lemon meringue pie,
Mm.
chicken, make some I don't know, lemon stew. Just make use that lemon until you can take the peel, grind up the peel, make some potpourri. You know what I mean? Just use every bit of that lemon and use every bit of that opportunity because it, it it may seem like it's a bad thing with my vision. It may seem like, oh my gosh, woe is me, this is horrible. But it has got me into the greatest places ever, and it has got me to meet the greatest people. And when you turn that around and look at the positive, see,
Bless
I'm
you.
allergic to knowledge right now.
Hey, bless.
Because that was just so much knowledge that, oh my god, it's like dust. But to turn that around, it becomes such a beautiful thing. And then, like I said, it's a cheat code because a lot of people are like, "Oh, living in St. Louis, living as a black man, isn't that right?" But when you turn around, it's like, "Nope, this is my superpower." Boom, like, you're already above a lot of people's mindsets.
Wow, such a powerful episode tonight. As we come to the end of tonight's Insight Hour on the Mental Health Hour, I want to thank you, Ben, for joining us and for being willing to share your story, your work, and your lived experience, and just everything in between, the knowledge and the gems. Thank you so much. Tonight's conversation really reminds us of something that seems simple but is incredibly important.
Absolutely.
No one is just one story. Disability can be one part of someone's lived experience, but it does not tell us everything about who they are. It doesn't tell us their personality. It doesn't tell us their dreams. It doesn't tell us their relationships, their culture, their talents, their humor, their ambitions, their fears, their strengths, or the many identities they carry with them every day. And when we reduce people to one part of who they are, whether that is disability, race, gender, profession, diagnosis, or anything else, we risk missing the person standing right in front of us. Tonight, we also talked about the mental health impact of constantly being misunderstood, underestimated, or having other people make assumptions about what your life must look like. And that is why representation matters, community matters, accessibility matters, and creating space for people to define themselves rather than constantly being defined by others. So sometimes inclusion begins with something as simple as curiosity. Instead of assuming, we ask. Instead of speaking for people, we listen. And instead of focusing only on what makes someone different from us, we allow ourselves to see the fullness of who they are. Thank you to everyone who joined the conversation with us tonight. Diane and Yana, thank you so much. And for everybody else that has listened tonight, whether you shared in the chat, whether you reflected quietly, uh, whether you just listened in, you learned something new, thank you. Your presence matters. And Ben, thank you again for reminding us that there is always more than one story. And before we close, I want to invite you to join us next week for another exciting episode of Real Talk on the Mental Health Hour. Our Real Talk panel is coming back together for another candid, thoughtful, and lively conversation as we unpack a topic that I know will have plenty of us talking. So, as always, we'll bring our different perspectives, our lived experiences, and professional insight to the table. And of course, we want you to be part of the conversation too. So make sure you join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. right here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music and Talk Radio. You don't want to miss it. So, if tonight's conversation resonated with you and you're seeking support for yourself, your relationships, or your family, please connect with a mental health professional in your area, okay? I'm your host, Felicia Fishoff, founder of Rooted in Resilience, Psychotherapy, and Wellness. Thank you for spending this time with us on the Mental Health Hour. And until next time, take care of your mind, your body, and your heart. Peace out.